Your cat has been sending you signals for a long time. You just did not know what they meant. And the most difficult part is that the things hurting your cat the most are not acts of cruelty or neglect. They are acts of routine. Normal, well-meaning, everyday habits that feel completely harmless from the outside. But inside your cat's body and mind, something very different is happening. Today, we are going to talk about 6 of those habits. And by the time we reach the last one, you may find yourself rethinking everything you thought you knew about your relationship with your cat. Let us begin with something that most cat owners have done at least once, even if they would never admit it out loud. Raising your voice at your cat when they do something wrong. Maybe your cat knocked a glass off the table or scratched the furniture, or did something that pushed you to your limit. And in that moment, your instinct was to react loudly. Felt like the right response. Felt like communication. But what was actually happening inside your cat's brain in that moment was something very far from learning. Cats do not process cause and effect the way human beings do. When you yell at your cat, they do not connect your anger to the thing they just did. Their brain does not work that way. What they do register deeply and immediately is the volume, the sharpness in your voice, and the sudden shift in energy. And what they conclude is not that they did something wrong. What they conclude is that you are unpredictable, that you are unsafe. A 2021 study published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior found that cats who were regularly exposed to raised voices showed significantly higher levels of chronic stress. These cats were far more likely to develop behavioral issues like hiding, unprovoked aggression, and litter box avoidance compared to cats in calmer environments. Think about what that really means. Every time you raised your voice at your cat, even once, even briefly, you may have planted a small seed of fear. Not because you are a bad person, but because your cat had no way to understand your intention. They only felt the storm. And over time, repeated moments like that do not teach a cat to behave better. They teach a cat to keep their distance. Imagine walking into a room every day and having someone suddenly scream at you for no reason you could understand. How long before you started finding reasons to avoid that room entirely? That is precisely what your cat begins to do. And the tragedy is that the bond you thought was growing stronger was quietly being worn away, one loud moment at a time. Now let us talk about something that might seem completely unrelated to stress, but is actually one of the most overlooked sources of psychological suffering in indoor cats. The absence of hunting. When was the last time your cat actually got to stalk something, chase it, and feel the rush of catching it? Not watching a bird through the window. Not batting lazily at a toy on the floor. A real, engaged, full-body hunting experience. For most indoor cats, the honest answer is that it has been a very long time, if ever. This matters more than most people realize. Cats are not just animals that happen to hunt when they feel like it. Hunting is the architecture of their entire nervous system. Their brain is built around a very specific sequence. Stalking, chasing, pouncing, catching, and finally, consuming. Every part of that cycle serves a purpose. Every part of it releases something in their mind that keeps them balanced, motivated, and emotionally stable. When that cycle never gets activated, something begins to deteriorate from the inside out. A study from the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery found that cats without regular play and predatory stimulation showed increased rates of obesity, overgrooming, aggression toward other pets or people, and depression-like states of withdrawal and inactivity. So that cat who sleeps 18 hours a day and seems perfectly fine, the one who never causes trouble and appears almost too easy to care for, may not be content at all. They may have simply stopped trying. When an animal loses access to the thing their biology was designed to do, they do not always fight it. Sometimes they just go quiet. That quietness can look like peace. But it is not peace. It is resignation. The good news is that the solution is genuinely simple. Just 10 to 15 minutes of interactive play each day, with a toy that mimics the movement of real prey, can restart that entire mental cycle. Feathers that flutter unpredictably. Something that darts and hides. Something that makes your cat feel like a hunter again. You will begin to see a version of your cat that you did not even know existed. More alive, more engaged, more connected to you. Because in those moments, you are not just their owner. You are the most interesting thing in their world. Next, we need to talk about something that is inside almost every cat owner's home and is doing quiet damage every single day. Dry kibble as the sole source of nutrition. Before you dismiss this, understand that what we are about to discuss is not about the brand of food or the quality of ingredients. It is about something far more fundamental: water, or more precisely, the chronic lack of it. Cats are descendants of desert animals. Their wild ancestors lived in environments where water was scarce, and so they evolved to get the vast majority of their hydration not from drinking, but from the moisture contained in the prey they ate. Fresh prey contains roughly 60 to 70% water. That moisture moved directly into their body with every meal. Their kidneys adapted to this. Their thirst drive adapted to this. And here is the problem. That biological adaptation has not changed just because your cat now lives in an apartment and eats from a bowl. Their instinct to drink water on their own remains extremely low, because their body was never designed to rely on it. Dry kibble contains approximately 10% moisture, sometimes less. So when a cat's entire diet is made up of dry food, and they are not compensating by drinking significantly more water, which most cats will not do instinctively, they are living in a state of quiet, chronic dehydration. A study from the Journal of the American Veterinary Medical Association confirmed that cats on dry-only diets had substantially lower total water intake than cats eating wet food. Even when a clean bowl of fresh water was always available beside them, the body will not demand what it was never designed to seek out. Over months and years, that low-level dehydration places enormous strain on the kidneys and urinary tract. It is one of the primary drivers behind kidney disease in cats, which remains the leading cause of death in older cats worldwide. And the part that is genuinely difficult to sit with is that this is almost entirely preventable. You do not need to eliminate dry food entirely. Even introducing wet food several times a week, even adding a small amount of warm water or broth to your cat's current meals, gives their internal organs breathing room. It gives their kidneys a chance to function the way they were designed to function. One small change in how you feed your cat could quietly add years to their life. Now we arrive at something that causes confusion and hurt feelings in almost every cat-owning household. The moment when you are petting your cat, everything feels warm and connected, and then out of absolutely nowhere, they turn and bite you. You pull your hand back, genuinely bewildered. You were not doing anything wrong. You were being affectionate. You were showing love. So what happened? What happened is that you touched the wrong place in the wrong way for just a little too long. And your cat had no other way to tell you. Here is something critical to understand about how a cat's body works. Their skin is covered in an extremely dense network of sensory nerve endings. These nerve endings are part of what makes cats such exceptional hunters. They allow your cat to feel the slightest change in air pressure, the faintest vibration, the most subtle shift in texture. But what makes them extraordinary predators also makes them extraordinarily sensitive to touch. And that sensitivity has a threshold. The moment it is crossed, what felt pleasant a second ago becomes genuinely overwhelming. This is known as petting-induced overstimulation, and it is one of the most misunderstood dynamics in the entire human and cat relationship. Research from the University of Lincoln found that cats showed the lowest stress responses when touched around the cheeks, the base of the ears, and beneath the chin. These are areas cats themselves use when rubbing against objects and other animals to share their scent. They are areas of emotional significance. But when owners focused on the belly or the area at the base of the tail, stress hormones in cats rose almost immediately. And here is the thing about the belly specifically. When your cat rolls over and exposes their stomach to you, they are not asking you to rub it. They are showing you something. The belly is the most vulnerable part of their body, and in the wild, exposing it is an enormous act of trust. When your cat shows you their belly, they are saying, "I feel completely safe with you." And when you respond by reaching in for a rub, you are not reading that message correctly. You are taking something that was offered as emotional openness and turning it into a physical experience their body was not inviting. That is why the bite comes. Not from aggression, from confusion and overwhelm. Learning to read your cat's body language while petting changes everything. A tail that begins to flick. Ears that shift slightly backward. Skin that twitches along the back. These are your cat's way of saying, "That is enough for now, I need a moment." When you notice those signals and simply stop, when you give them the space they are asking for without making it a rejection, something shifts. Your cat begins to stay closer, longer, because they have learned that you will not push past their limits. And that safety, that reliability is what real trust is built on. We need to talk now about a decision that most cat owners make without a second thought, and that is where the litter box is placed. Tucked in the basement, hidden in a closet, pushed behind the washing machine in a dark laundry room. We do this for obvious human reasons. We do not want to see it. We do not want to smell it. And in the logic of a human home, putting it out of sight makes complete sense. But in the logic of a cat's nervous system, you have just placed their most vulnerable moment in the most terrifying location possible. Cats exist in a fascinating biological tension. They are predators, yes, but they are also small enough to be prey, and their brain never fully forgets that second part. Every time your cat uses a litter box, they are in a position of complete vulnerability. They cannot move quickly. They cannot scan their environment effectively. Every survival instinct they possess is activated during those few seconds, and those instincts are screaming one thing: make sure you can see what is coming, and make sure you can get out if you need to. A box pushed into a tight corner with only one entry point, in a dark and often loud room, is a location that works against every one of those instincts. It does not matter that your home is safe. Your cat's nervous system does not operate on the basis of what you know. It operates on the basis of what it feels. Research published in Applied Animal Behavior Science identified litter box placement and accessibility as among the most significant factors associated with elimination problems in cats. If your cat has been using the bathroom outside of their box, there is a very real possibility that this is not a behavioral problem at all. It is a location problem. Your cat is not being defiant. Your cat is scared, and they are finding the nearest place where they feel safe enough to be vulnerable. There is also another common mistake worth addressing here: the assumption that one cat needs only one box. Animal behaviorists consistently recommend what is called the +1 rule. One litter box per cat in your home, plus one additional box. So if you have 2 cats, 3 boxes in different areas is the recommendation. This is not about luxury. It is about giving your cats enough space and enough options that they never feel trapped or forced to compete for territory during one of their most exposed moments. And now we arrive at the final habit on this list. The one I want to address last because it is the one that will likely stay with you the longest. This is the habit that is done entirely out of love, entirely with good intentions, and yet it may be doing more harm than all the others combined. Leaving your cat alone for long stretches of time, day after day, while genuinely believing they do not mind. The idea that cats are solitary creatures who prefer independence, who feel no real attachment to the people in their lives, who are perfectly content to be alone for 12 hours and greet you with indifference when you return, this idea is deeply embedded in popular culture. And it is not accurate. A landmark 2020 study, published in the journal Current Biology, found that cats form genuine attachment bonds with their owners. Bonds that are psychologically similar to the bonds that dogs form with their people, and remarkably similar to the bonds that human infants form with their caregivers. In the study, cats were separated from their owners and then reunited. Their behavior following the reunion clearly reflected whether they had a secure or an insecure attachment, based entirely on the quality and consistency of the relationship they had experienced. This is not theory. This is measurable, peer-reviewed science. Your cat has an emotional attachment to you. When you leave, they notice. When hours pass, they feel it. When you come home, something in them responds to your return, not because you bring food, but because you are the central relationship in their life. Cats who experience prolonged daily isolation can develop anxiety, chronic depression, compulsive overgrooming, changes in appetite, and litter box avoidance. But unlike dogs, they do not make their suffering visible in ways that are easy to recognize. They do not cry at the door. They do not chew through furniture. They go quiet. They withdraw. And that withdrawal is so easy to misread as independence, as contentment, as proof that they are fine. But they are not fine. They are suffering in the most private way possible, because that is what cats do. They carry things silently. Your cat waits for you. not in an obvious tail-wagging way, but in their own quiet, private way. They position themselves near the door around the time you usually return. They track the rhythms of your schedule. They feel the difference between a normal day and a long one. And they feel the difference between a homecoming where you sit with them and one where you walk past them on your way to the kitchen. You do not need to be home every moment. That is not the point. But small, consistent acts of presence matter more to your cat than you may have ever understood. Leaving enrichment out before you go. Rotating different toys to keep their environment mentally stimulating. Creating a comfortable spot by a window where they can feel connected to the world outside. And when you come home, taking even 5 real minutes to sit beside them, to be fully there with them, not distracted, not rushed. That means something to them. That registers in them. That fills something. Because here is the truth that ties all 6 of these habits together. Your cat is not simply an animal that lives in your home. They are a being with a nervous system finely tuned to danger and connection, with an emotional world shaped by every interaction they have with you, with needs that are largely invisible unless you know how to look for them. They will not tell you when they are stressed. They will not complain when they are lonely or overwhelmed or quietly dehydrated or psychologically bored. They will simply live with it and trust that you will eventually notice. The question is whether we choose to look closely enough to see what they have been trying to show us all along. And the moment we do, everything about how we care for them begins to change.